Near the gateway to one of the world's most famous harbours is one of the world's most famous fish restaurants, Doyle's. Here they serve only the freshest fish and seafood. But whether you pick the finest John Dory, a succulent charcoal-grilled lobster, or the legendary seafood platter, make sure you have plenty of time and your Visa card, because you can't rush eating at Doyle's, and you can't pay with American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Pizza Hut used 9 delicious toppings to make Super Supreme Australia's best-selling pizza. But there's always one person who's never satisfied.
I want more.
So we added more ham, more pepperoni.
Want more?
Fresh mushrooms and cabanossi.
More.
And put more cheese on top. What more could you want on top? New, improved Super Supreme. The ultimate pan pizza just topped itself. Dine in or take away.
Put on your bets and bets. Put on your bets and bets.
Good Lord.
Put on your bets and bets. Put on your bets and bets. There's so many shoes for you to choose. There's so many shoes, yeah. Put your best foot forward, you can lose. Put on your bets and bets.
Put 'em on.
Put on your bets and bets.
Here's the one that'll get you fired up for 89. Fired up hits. Escape Plus.
Living in the wild, wild west.
1927. Transvision Band. There's Terrence Trent D'Arby, Salt and Pepper, Cheap Trick, Tiffany, and heaps more. Poison. You'll have a good time with this one. Fired Up Hits. 18 originals from Concepts.
Now, look, nobody said it's going to be easy, but you've got the...
When he gets going, Graham Corns is really something to listen to. And you can, weekdays on Adelaide Action 5AA from 5:30am till 9am. Cornsy gets together with Ken Dickin for a breakfast show with a difference. A great mixture of fun and information, great music, and more than a touch of the unexpected.
And above all, give the people what they want.
Are you talking to me?
Cornsy and Ken, Monday to Friday on Adelaide Action 5AA. It's like a magazine on radio.
Hello, on Eye on Australia this week, the results of our trial of the Fergie hip and thigh diet.
And I'd be very interested to see how they get on. Well, that's 71 kilos this afternoon.
Has 8 weeks of spot dieting and exercise made any difference?
The hip and thigh diet has a problem in its name.
And blondes, still suffering from that Hollywood stereotyping.
He said, oh, well, you know, we can't have too many blondes in the office.
That's Eye on Australia this week, 5:30, Channel 9. See you then.
Newsbreak, brought to you by National Mutual.
Good evening. The death toll in Europe's worst soccer disaster has risen to 108, with more than 200 injured. The disaster at the Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield happened in the opening minutes when crowds surged against an anti-riot fence.
When the game started, thousands of ticket holders were still outside the ground in Sheffield, caught in the crush. Many began pushing forward, anxious because they were missing the action inside. It was then the police made the fateful decision to open double gates to ease the crush. They were worried things had become so out of control people would be badly injured. But sadly, that decision only moved the problem inside to an even more crowded area. Crowds surged forward, but those right at the very front had nowhere to go. The massive steel fences designed to keep people off the ground at all costs made sure of that.
I was against the bar right at the front, and when I was at the bar at the front, there was a gentleman on my arm, and he said, you're choking me, and he just fell. He just literally fell, and that was the last of him. It was...
As is always the case with football games, lined along the fence were hundreds of children, the ones who'd got there early to get the very best vantage point. And many of them became the victims. The game was stopped after 6 minutes. The only way out for those in the crush was over the fence. At first, police tried to stop them coming over, but then it became clear it could be their only means of escape. Advertising signs were torn down and used as stretchers. Vans and police worked side by side to rush the injured to waiting ambulances. But for others, there was no hope. All around the ground there were scenes of desperation as rescuers tried to revive crush victims. Others wandered around in shock. Back in the crush, spectators in the upper section of the stand dragged many to safety. The decision to open the gates seems to be the reason for the surge inside the ground. The police say they're not admitting full responsibility just yet.
I am unaware of any connection between the opening of the gate and the surge on the stand.
The mangled crowd barriers still litter the ground tonight, and here, evidence of how they eventually got most of the people out by breaking through the fence using wire cutters. The operation over, the police involved sat in a sort of stunned silence, many obviously still in shock. In Britain, Robert Penfold, National 9 News.
A proposal will be put to Sydney's air traffic controllers tomorrow in a bid to solve an overtime dispute affecting thousands of travellers. In the meantime, the airport is closed tonight for 3 hours and will shut down tomorrow at midday. The overtime ban is part of a log of claims for more staff and better wages. Firefighters say arson is the likely cause of a fire at Randwick Boys High School in Sydney's east. The school's gymnasium has been gutted, expensive sporting equipment destroyed. The damage bill is estimated at more than $500,000. And shops selling victim toys could face a $100,000 fine under a new federal government ban. Consumer Affairs Minister Senator Nick Bolkus says the toys make children insensitive to disfigurement. In sport, a major upset in the league today. Last year's Premiers Canterbury got a walloping from Canberra. The final score 34-4. The Raiders' victory all the more impressive with 3 of their best players missing.
The Raiders and Bulldogs had been at it for just 3 minutes when Terry Lamb swung the ball wide.
Now Lamb backing up strongly. Got Langrat with him, but doesn't need him. Scores!
Canberra appeared set for a tough afternoon, but they matched Canterbury's muscle up front, and with the scores at 4 each, they were desperate for a try.
Numbers here. Surely it's a try. Clyde, does he get it down? That's a try.
Terry Lamb won't forget Clyde's crunch right on the line, and 7 minutes later, Laurie Daly hit the ball almost as hard.
Very strongly. Has it got the legs? It has. What a kick.
Leading 10-4 at the break, the Raiders improved with every minute. This effort from Henjack as classy as they come.
Side for Daly. Daly's got O'Sullivan with him. Put the glasses down. Canberra.
8 minutes later, Henjack again.
Little gap there for Henjack, who's gone straight through. Got support back inside from O'Sullivan. Daly's there to back up. Oh, Daly!
Second-string goal kicker Laurie Daly scored a total of 22 points, but picking anyone out of a magnificent team effort would indeed be unfair.
And finally, thousands of Australians have their feet up tonight after the annual fundraising appeal Walk Against Want. Starting at Sydney's Darling Harbour, close to 6,000 participants were in fine spirits for the onslaught. The $800,000 raised will go to education and farming projects in the Third World. Looking at the weather now, in Sydney can expect a mostly cloudy day, 23 in the city and 24 out west. Adelaide will have showers and a maximum of 20 degrees. That's Nightline for Sunday. I'm Mark Burrows. Good night.
What National Mutual is doing to make Bob Phillips roll over one of the best investments he'll ever make, National Mutual can do for you. National Mutual, for the most important person in the world.
This week on A Current Affair, the missing millions in the soccer pool scandal. How Melbourne's Mr. Football, Harry Beitzel, handed out the big cheques, but then the money vanished into his overseas companies.
What do you mean that I try to keep it quiet?
And Peter Sterling, the only man in the world who's given birth to a child.
Someone might say, oh, you're a bit of a queer. And they'd be right.
This week on A Current Affair, following National 9 News at 6.
Midday with Ray Martin. Appealing, outrageous, and a whole lot of fun every weekday. This week, Julie Anthony in The Seekers. Eric Bogosian in the movie that tells all about talk radio. Secrets of TV's sexy soapy stars. Plus the man whose music is too hot for US radio. How to Marry the Man You Want. Gordon Liddy from Watergate to TV stardom, movies and more. There's Tiny Tim, rocker Rick Astley, and Tony Lamond live. Midday with Ray Martin this week on 9. The
following program is classified AO, suitable for adults only.
Hello there, everybody.